Hello, good evening, everybody, and welcome to tonight's presentation of A Link to the Past Randomizer League, the Open League Season 4. It's Week 6. We're playing Open. I'm Zeruvian. W. Garrison, what are we looking at between these two teams tonight?
Oh man, this is a giant game with huge implications for the GT division. We are currently looking at the number 2 and number 3 teams in that division trying to secure the second spot in the playoffs.
And when you've got number 2 and number 3 playing against each other, all the stakes are real. Oopsal Fox is one game in hand coming into this week with 24 points. Dark Side of the Triforce, of course, has already clinched their playoff berth. They have 30 points in the division. They're not going anywhere anytime soon. As for Acai, a win here would give them a pretty solid chance of possibly squeaking in by tiebreakers or otherwise in the next week. But that's got to be where it starts now, doesn't it?
Oh, we got an early bomb off the bird for Adilor there. They both started with a sank start. Picking up an immediate hook shot, which makes movement early really nice. Adilor turning his nose up at the blue boomerang. Doesn't want it, but with hook shot already, you have a way to stun. So I don't hate it.
A little bit of bad luck for Tony on that first bird. It dropped the bomb out of bounds, so it was not an item he could pick up. Meanwhile, he doesn't get a drop on the second one, but he's going to get bailed out by Thieves Hideout here, as we'll pick up Uncle's Bombs, a nice 10-pack that secures all of the checks you can make in Kakariko.
Yeah, it's actually nice to see the luck kind of equal out. No player gets any kind of big advantage over just the placement of the bomb. With the map check that we got early, it looks like our light world is entirely crystals. So a potential for a very fast seed here.
And potential for some very fast money. Adilor gives us a look at the stun prize. On this seed, we've got 20 rupees for every time you kill a stunned enemy, which is going to add up pretty quickly, and especially useful if something like Zora comes into play very early.
So both players heading into Kakariko after Lost Woods. That's pretty standard. We got a glove in Blind's Hideout, some health, and a lot of money. So we're going to be rich this seed, it looks like.
Rich in progression and rich in money indeed. And that's going to give us a lot to look about early on here. A lot to look about. You can also break up the mountain if you really felt spicy, but I think you wait on that. There's so much more down here that you don't want to skip.
Yeah, and with only 4 hearts, those boulders with the dead rocks can get a little bit spicy. There's a lot of stuff that you could find before you go up the mountain that could give you even more access, such as a mirror or a hammer. So we're getting our look into Cackwell.
Could see Mitts and a mirror. Mitts and a moon pearl would be kind of big too. You know, just tons to look at on the mountain if you have the right set of equipment. Kakariko Well is unusually dry, especially considering there are puddles on the floor.
Money and a bit of health, but not much else. See what the bottle vendor has, and he's got a bottle with green goo in it.
Well,
a little bit of an upgrade from vanilla. He's got a special deal going on today. Get a bottle, get a free green goo with it.
That's a French vanilla 10 arrows sitting here in the cuckoo house. I say French vanilla because normally if you haven't picked up the boomerang and escaped, this is where it would be.
Not only is this game quite hype in terms of playoff implications, these are also two very, very strong players. This race could go either way. It's going to be really exciting to see who actually comes out on top. Oh, we get a mushroom in the back of Tavern. What are they doing with that mushroom back there?
Trying to make a special, new, exciting drink, clearly. Something magical, perhaps. Let's see something magical happen with an item that we might need up here. No, it's just 10 arrows. How about on the race game? Do you blind play that here, Garrison?
I'm a fan of blind playing it a lot, especially when I'm missing 2 items for Dark World access, but everybody's got their own rule for it. Both are choosing the scout, and both are choosing to skip a shield.
This may be where we see some divergent paths, and it is. Tony's going to check out, I'm assuming, can only be the back of escape. Adilor wants the house start, and so I'm expecting him to do South Shore here.
Yep, you were exactly right. So, divergence, seeing South Shore and back of escape. Although, ooh, we're getting a fake flipper from Adilor. He's going to turn in that mushroom right away.
Right on that first save and quit is probably the best time to save scum the mushroom here. You see nothing sitting in the back of escape here, so Tony gets to decide where he wants to take this next.
Yeah, I really like this play from Adilor. It's a really easy way to save scum the mushroom. And when you pick up an early fetch quest, there's a lot of times that there's actually progression on it. No progression here, and there is the save scum.
Yeah, you're going to see him give it a soft reset, and now we'll see South Shore from Adilor.
And Tony is not going to do anything with mushroom right now, which isn't going to hurt him. He's just going to do the standard dam, probably into mini Moldorm and Ice Rat Cave. And we get a flute.
Now, that's a nice little piece of information that does put our mountain in logic, which says 8 checks on East Death Mountain were placed into logic as soon as you started this game. In Sphere 1, get the flute and the hookshot. That allows you to go on over to Paradox Cave.
Oh,
no. Don't give me those. Not this early. It's too early.
Oh, man. So we're just a Moon Pearl away from Dark World access already.
And interesting to note, this is a Moon Pearl away without a weapon. Don't have a bona fide weapon just yet. That hookshot has a lot of utility with it and allows you to move around quite a bit and access some things you might normally not think about. But we don't have a way to really kill anything except enemies that are vulnerable to the hookshot.
There's a lot of ticklish enemies out there, though.
I can tell you, Hinox aren't ticklish. That's for sure. They do hit stun to a boomerang, but not a hookshot. Come on, man.
I mean, your primary weapon against a Hinox is a bomb anyway, so we got those. So, Mini Moldorm Cave, another source of 5 checks. A lot of money and nothing else. And Tony not continuing on to Ice Rod Cave, which makes sense because the flute was picked up along the way. Activating the flute lets you get to Ice Rod Cave quicker than if you just hoofed it over there.
Yeah, not only that, but you also can go ahead and see what's going on in the desert, check Agina's cave as well. Can't go into desert quite yet until we see either the book or a mirror, but that is something we need to consider this early now as well. I wouldn't be surprised to see Addy just break for the mountain regardless. He will check back of escape first and be very disappointed to see 10 arrows and 20 rupees. I said 3 bombs.
And the key.
The key, yeah. The key is interesting.
One less thing that can take up space in Dark Cross.
The key, the ever-important item that tells you that the front of the castle is in logic based on where you got your access to the key. So, very interesting.
The only difference between Tony and Adilor right now is that Adilor has checked the mushroom turn-in, and Tony has not. There was nothing there, so it was save scummed, but otherwise, we are in sync. We have a Dark Old Man cave coming up from Tony with no weapon, which makes this challenging. Could potentially be using the hookshot or boomerang to kind of locate himself around a little bit, but choosing not to do so. So the viewers have absolutely no idea where he is, and he comes emerging out with the old man. Very well done.
Yeah, I didn't even hear the bats flitter that was that sneaky. It's a pretty good piece of work for darkroom knowledge for tonytyoung here.
Now, that's actually really hard to do without the sword sparkle. Let's see if Adilor follows Tony up the mountain.
I mean, you kind of have to, right? This is a bounty of 8 checks on the east side, 2 checks between the old man rescue, which is out of logic, but it's only a piece of heart anyway.
He's going to do Ice Red Cave. See, I think with a lot of the early game checks, a lot of the easy to access checks, I don't know that it matters so much what order you do them in. So I don't mind the Ice Rod Cave play here. Maybe he picks up something early that Tony never comes around to for a long time. We do have Ether sitting in Spec Rock Cave. Oh, just another shield in Ice Rod Cave, so nothing too useful there.
Let's think about that Ether for a moment. We know we have a 3-pendant Dark Lord. What are the chances that Medallion actually ends up being handy?
I don't know. I like Ether just as a weapon on its own. I always find it handy. But in terms of progression, who knows if it's going to be progression or not.
Yeah. I will admit, I do like using Ether in certain rooms of the game. Stalfos Urban GT is a dice one if you don't want to have to deal with them. The Pathway, if you're kind of short on magic in Skull Woods, wipes out all the Gibdos and the Wallmaster, and costs considerably less than using the Fire Rod to take care of everything.
I'm a big fan of Ether strats in Dark Pod. Ether can help clear the way of the Kadangos in the Dark Maze, and helps you clear out the turtles in the Dark Turtle Room. So after the Quick Desert and Ice Rod Cave checks, which Adilor didn't get anything from, he is also coming up the mountain. And we got a bow in the bottom of Paradox Cave.
Fine little piece of weaponry right there. That bow does allow us to finish Eastern Palace, albeit without a fire source. But at this stage of the game, that's something that doesn't make anybody really too uncomfortable.
I mean, with a bow, a hook shot, flute, and gloves, you can't get too much faster than that for clearing Eastern.
Well, there goes all the value of save scumming the mushroom as Powder is sitting in Paradox 5.
Yeah. And I also saw that we could see Blue Mail sitting on top of Spec Rock as well, so that'll be a nice bit of defense if and when we finally find the mirror.
Starting to think the most outstanding things we have here. Zora placed into Logic relatively early with those gloves, so that is something our runners could possibly go do. A little bit less enticing without a Moon Pearl or Flippers to get Waterfall out of the way and try to maximize your value for such a dive. You do have Saha's Hut in Eastern, and of course, as we mentioned before, the front of the castle very much on the table here.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing about open mode, is that you are not forced to do the escape sequence. So the front of the castle ends up being something that could potentially have items, and nobody really wants to ever do it.
I gotta say, oh no, ouch, to Adilor hopping off of Spectacle Rock and landing nose first on a dead rock. That's a hammer? I guess we're going to Hera, huh?
Oh, geez, yeah. Hammer in Spiral Cave, making Tony have to do another loop up around the mountain, which Adilor will have to do the same.
That hammer also puts the powder we just got into play. Magic Bat could have a Moon Pearl, or something leading to it.
And when you get a hammer and powder early, like, Magic Bat loves to have your Moon Pearl. Still, hard to say no to an early clearable Crystal Eastern, though, along with pairing it up with Saha's Closet.
It's also hard to say no to an early clearable, almost clearable, Crystal Hera. Of course, depending on the layout of this dungeon, may or may not be able to finish up the job, in that being one item may stay in its spot until we see some fire. Then again, At that point, why do you care? There's your big key, so it would have to be an item in the basement for that to happen tonight.
Even if there is an item in the basement, players generally don't want to do the basement anyways, as that tile room to get through takes a very long time. So it's often skipped even when you do have the equipment to do it. So we're going to see a Herapot set up from Tony here.
This looks like the good tried and true Jakara setup. The only flaw with this one is if your last movement is more than 1 pixel, you kind of get screwed up by sub-pixel magic.
He does get in on the first attempt. So, very clean Herapot there.
We're going to see him drop down and check this big chest here. Haven't seen an item out of Hera proper yet, so the last thing you really want to see, especially in this situation, is a key. Because that's the game telling you, I'm not giving you a choice. You either have to decide to come back later, or you ain't getting whatever's down there without some fire.
So it looks like it's a split between Moldworm and the basement right now. Adilor picking up his hammer, continuing to follow Tony across the mountain. Again, Adilor is and is not going to continue up to Hera. Is going to redirect and go straight to Eastern.
Adilor sees it as I have a fully clearable Crystal Eastern and 3 checks waiting next door. What is my opponent not going to do here? Obviously, the Siren Song of Hera was way too easy to, just say, heck yeah, give me that. And I think Adilor is also trying to hedge against the possibility of not being able to get whatever is in the basement. As we see, Moldworm has dropped the key.
So yeah, Tony's gonna have to leave whatever is in the basement behind. Which means if Adilor ends up picking a fire source up, before he ends up heading back up the mountain, he could end up claiming the contents of that chest, and it could be huge, because nobody ever wants to go back to Hera Basement after you've abandoned it.
Yeah, Hera Basement's about as bad as Graveyard Ledge, or going to the Man Under the Bridge with late flippers, or stuff like that. You never want to have to go get it if you don't have to. And if the seed says you have to, well, then you have to.
So Tony's starting to clean up the checks that Adilor had done previous to going up the mountain. We have our big key on the right side of Eastern. But with having picked up a compass already, we probably have to go all the way around to the vanilla big key room just to make sure we don't leave anything behind.
And not really too much of a tragic thing to do here. Unfortunately, not having a lamp does make these rooms a little bit taller to scale in some way. But we do have also the ability to just clear the dungeon. That alone makes the dive worth it. And there's your Moon Pearl, everybody.
Moon Pearl in Eastern, which the neat thing about actually, you still need a mirror. I was going to say, the neat thing is now when Adilor goes back up the mountain, he can use the mitts to check what's in Dark Death Mountain. But that's still a little bit tricky with the gear set that we have, because you would still want to do Hera first, because you don't have a mirror to get back to it, and then coming back to get into Dark Death Mountain, a little bit awkward.
I'm going to be on record as saying, Adilor, please, one of these days, please 50-50 Eastern Palace big key chest. Just once? Maybe? He never does. And we've seen where it can absolutely burn runners before. And we've seen where it can actually save a run by never having to dink around in the dark and pick up your map, perhaps?
There's time to 50-50 it. Like, right after you pick up Moon Pearl, when you already have Mitt's hammer access to Dark World, that's kind of enticing.
Shaking my head.
it's hard to 50-50 it when you don't have Dark World access because you're so limited on the checks that you have. But having picked up the Moon Pearl right before, that's a consideration.
And I'm thinking about it as more than just one thing, too. This dungeon was available, but the boss is locked by fire. And that specific check is locked by not only just fire, but specifically a lamp in the logic. If that lamp is super late in your game, why do you even care about the existence of the big key chest?
Adilor getting through the dark room, well, see there it goes.
Yeah, he
Adilor getting through that dark room quite nicely, actually. That's again another dark room that gets difficult without you having a sword sparkle to line up your bow shots for the I forgot the name of those guys.
The Igors.
The Igors,
yeah. And not even just please be careful. It's not even just the bow shot that you line up with a little bit. But if you have a sword so much to just be able to freeze all these popos in the middle of the room, that way you're not having to deal with them intercepting shots or pushing you out of the way in the dark. You have no idea where your shot's going to land. Looks like Tony also wants a taste of this big key chest. I hope you guys like reading maps.
Especially in a tournament setting, it's real hard to take that gamble. And a bottle from Armos.
All right, so Tony's going to have that small crystal lead at Hera, but they're yet to be seen whether the Hera basement is going to come to be important later on. And something Adilor might even choose to save for go mode situation at the end of this race.
So with Mitt and Hammer, basically every entry into the Dark World is open. Let's see how Adilor chooses to approach this. Of course, he's going to clean up Saha's closet before making decision, but we could see a lot of divergence as soon as Eastern's done.
Yeah, the mode may be open, but this is an open seed right now. We have a lot on the table. You can go back up to the mountain and clean up Hera, perhaps. You can go straight into Village of Outcasts and hope that Thieves isn't dependent. You can go... heck, I don't know. You check out the Mire area if you're feeling spicy. You can go into Mire if you get a sword and Mire shed and it's Ether. No Kane to finish, but there's just all options that are on the table. Some of them are worse than others. That's just the nature of this randomizer, is that it's given us a lot to think about in a very short period of time.
Looking to see if Tony makes it through the... Looks like he made it through the Dark Room as well. It looks like we have pendants on Turtle Rock, Skull Woods, and a green pendant pod. I didn't catch the red crystals, though. There's a lot of information on that Dark World map.
Tonight, your red crystals are sitting in Thieves Town and an Ice Palace. So two pretty nice 5/6s, not really locked by too much, and to be honest, the only thing keeping us from doing both right now are, logically, the lack of the flippers, and of course, no fire.
So we did have Adilor choosing to start in Village of Outcasts. That's a pretty typical place to start. I know some players really like to do Village of Outcasts first. Some players, like me, like to start with Hype Cave. Neither one is right or wrong, but we will see if Tony chooses to do something different after Tony misses the quick kill on Armos. So having a little bit of a tough time with the Armos boss, but gets it nonetheless and grabs his bottle.
Yeah, Tony's Armos fight looking a little bit like mine if I miss one shot. And if I miss one shot, I'm bound to miss about 3 or 4 more.
Well, yeah, that's how the Armos quick kill works, though. Like, missing one shot and suddenly you're off the pattern, and that fight becomes tricky. Blind's kind of the same way. Adilor actually made a smart move and used the rarely seen potion shop in Village to buy a red potion before going into a swordless Thieves Town.
Yeah, and swordless green male Thieves Town, a little bit low percent here, no sword and 6 hearts to play with. Gonna hurt quite a bit if you run into anything as much as a Zazek. That's 1/3 of your health gone in one fell swoop. That fireball would have done the same thing. What I'm really worried about for this Thieves Town is gonna be the blind fight. Hammer blind is no joke.
Hammer blind is pretty tough. Especially on only 6 hearts. Tony deciding to do something really interesting and went right back up the mountain with his Dark World access. Going to collect all the stuff in Super Bunny and in Hookshot Cave. Misses that Hookshot clip. That Hookshot block clip is pretty difficult. There's a really particular spot that you have to be to get the clip right. So... easy one to miss, but he'll get to see what the Turtle Rock entry requirement is. But without Samaria, we won't be able to do anything there.
I don't know, Garrison, did you see what Adilor plucked out of the Thieves Town Big Key chest?
Oh, boots. Boots in Thieves Town. And Thieves Town is a lot of straightaways. That speeds up this dungeon quite a bit.
Yeah, pretty nice find here for the Fox. He's going to be able to just run around. It's going to give him a lot to play with in the light world, too. And so far as we know, we don't have a reason to go up to Lumberjack just yet. So you might see an isolated Graveyard Ledge, another thing that might come into play later in this seed.
So our pendant Turtle Rock is ether. We have the ability to open that. We can't go anywhere in it yet, but that might mean there's progression in there.
Yeah. Little bit premature until we pick up this sword here in Hookshot Cave. But even so, without a mirror, Tony would have to...
And a book.
Ooh, mirror in desert? Gross. Without a mirror, Tony would have to loop back around to Light World Death Mountain, and that's... Yikes.
Oh no! Adilor getting knocked down by the crickets in the back of the Thieves' Town. Those crickets do 2 hearts of damage each, and with only 4 hearts total, that's a lot. When you're doing low percent Thieves' Town, those crickets are probably the deadliest thing in the dungeon, besides blind. I think he got the bomb at the cracked floor open, but he didn't get to the chest, so he still needs to go back up there to see what's up there.
And if ever a time to actually gamble on not doing it to save time, because that doesn't feel good as a death, no matter when you take it. He may choose to just bypass that chest altogether.
There's Cane of Samaria and Lamp in Hype Cave, so we can get a little bit further into Turtle Rock, potentially. Fire Rod still probably locks us out of a lot of that. Nobody really is going to want to go up there if they don't have to, but we're starting to collect those pieces. We also potentially have what we need now on Acai's side to do Mire. With just Fighter Sword, that's really scary, but possible if it's an ether entry.
Adilor, remembering he has magic powder, he's going to get this bubble and take it and turn it into a fairy and save his butt going down to the basement here. Where, this Patrick Star doesn't want to play very nice. Oh, you know, for every time you hear the correct name of an enemy in the community, you also hear a joke name.
I couldn't even tell you what the correct name of that enemy is right now.
I'm sure someone in chat will tell us. In fact, I'm almost certain we'll hear it at some point.
We're getting Dig Game over on Tony's side. And getting a Master Sword. So Tony, when he does Thieves' Town, is going to be up 2 swords on Adilor.
Yeah, this is where your swordless game could actually prove to be a boon here. Because one of those swords is on your path, the other one is something you're more than tempted to just check at some point here. Well, unfortunately, Thieves' Town only seems to have boots for us today. But those are still some go-fast shoes.
And Adilor seems to be forgetting that he's got those boots. Or just not wanting to use them without a sword.
Yeah, and that's honestly pretty respectable. Not wanting to dash into some stuff that could really hurt, knock you off, put you in a 1.0 situation with the berry there. Absolutely no. Please do not knock me off. Please do not cause me to have to hold a direction button so that I don't fall off. I would like my 6 hearts to remain intact, thank you.
Oh man, and here is the Hammer Blind. So Adilor did not find anything to make this any easier. See how this goes.
Blind, of course, vulnerable to any sword, and the hammer will take 9 hits of anything he is vulnerable to take down. And we see Adilor with some pretty keen dancing here. Look at that. It's standing around in the maelstrom of fireballs. He's okay until he gets that last one. The potion's
he
going to
uses
save
the red
his
potion
bacon.
that he picked up before going in. So that was a smart buy.
A bargain.
Didn't actually end up needing the health, but you kind of need the health. Not taking the safety is the worst thing you could do.
Yeah, throw in that extra little bit of safety into your inventory before going to a place you're probably not comfortable with is always a good call if it saves you time by not dying.
Adilor gets to can resume his Dark World exploration with the advantage of boots, which Tony did not have.
Yeah, so Addy gets to make all these dash lines super smooth. He's going to get his lamp. You wonder what he might choose to do after Hype Cave here. No mirrors, so Swamp is off the table for the moment. He's going to find his first sword here and probably like facepalm about it. But that, you got your crystal and you got your boots, and you can't really ask for too much more than that.
Oh, and he gets his sword like immediately after the blind fight and is not happy about it. You can see the rage slashes like, why weren't you here before I did blind? And he's going to do the full smith chain. Oh,
that sword does allow us to go ahead.
He's taking the frog for a tour. That's right. Without a mirror, just doing smith chain is a little bit tricky. You have to do it in pieces.
Yeah, so we're going to take this little froggy companion here. As far as at least Hype Cave, you might even see him go further than that.
Tony definitely making use of the boots with the sword. So even though Adilor got boots first, I think Tony's going to get better use out of it for this dungeon.
Oh, absolutely. And you might have seen Adilor in the attic area not dashing intentionally. Very much intentionally, just because you have nothing to protect yourself from these crickets doing 2 hearts of damage per pop. Whereas Tony just has the luxury of just dashing right through.
So Adilor picking up potentially his Misery Mire care package, which fighter sword is scary.
See, at the very least, we have a bow, though.
Yeah.
And it looks like we want to see a little bit more on this tour, so we're going to take the frog up to the pyramids of Hyrule and possibly to visit the biggest scam in the world. I mean, the biggest fish in the world. Like, let's see, catfish, time is money. Yeah, it's still a scam. Another thing that actually kind of plays out for Adilor here is this routing kind of takes a few things out of isolation. Catfish being one of those things that are kind of a pain in the butt to get back to if you leave it around for a while. No mirror means no Zora region for now, but that's still not terrible. But when he saves and quit, he gets to check these boots checks, something Tony may or may not do on his first run through.
Adilor has definitely been taking the time to get all of the out-of-the-way checks in.
As a runner, Adilor is considerably thorough. He's got a little bit of multi-world personality in him from playing with a bunch of friends that have either left items in earlier spheres or left an item in a race in an early sphere or in a bad spot. So he's trying to minimize his outs by not skipping anything too aggressively.
Tony's going to have a considerably easier Master Sword fight for blind. Not that the level of sword matters, just the fact that it's not a hammer.
I'll tell you what does kind of matter here. Those sword beams can throw you off a little bit if one of them happens to nick blind instead of your sword.
Looks like Tony is nailing the script.
Yeah, that was very well done by Tony.
Really smooth blind fight. So it looks like Tony's going to get a bit of an advantage out of the way that Thieves Town was cleared between the two of them. But we'll see if that turns into a lead. Which right now he's got 3 crystals to Adilor's 2, but Adilor has a lot of the more out-of-the-way checks done.
And Tony is remembering hammer pegs, as I'm about to say, well, he's going to start Smith Chain. Actually, no. Are we going to see Skull Woods here?
Not sure what...
I'm also kind of curious.
We're going to look at Bumper Ledge? And maybe do Skullwoods from there? Not sure.
I don't quite get this, because knowing Skullwoods is a pendant to begin with and not having the Fire Rod to finish that, nor the cape to actually get what's on Bumper Ledge, checking it now kind of makes me scratch my head a little.
I don't know. If it's a pendant anyway, and you're going to do the check, you're going to try to get the 2 items out of it, and then you can ignore Skullwoods forever. I kind of get it, and he gets one of the items right off the bat. It's a blue rupee. It's not useful, but he'll be able to put this out of his mind as to being a place where something could be hiding. The thing that is always the issue with Skullwoods is you're going in there for maybe items. You're not even with the possibility of 1 or 2 items being fire locked, and with the higher chance of there being an item on Moth than anywhere else. You could very well just orphan something in the back that you'll never want to go back for with Fire Rod, because it is a pendant.
Oh, here's that little taste of aggressive divergence I was hoping for. We're going to see what the requirement is for Meyer and also pick up the 2 items that are in Meyer's shed.
Is it Ether?
No, it is Bombos.
It's Bombos. We can't get in yet.
So we know we'll be hunting for at least 1 medallion here today. Actually, specifically, we should only be hunting for the 1 medallion.
So a lot of health in Meyer's shed, but nothing else. But the information is always good.
You know what I'm feeling here, Garrison? As much as I hate to admit it.
So Tony does, well, real quick, Tony does get both items out of Skullwoods. He does not have to worry about Skullwoods anymore unless we have a Ped Seed. Nothing interesting there, but peace of mind.
And chat is with me, and they hear it, and you see it too. We're going to Pendant
Pod. Pendant Pod. Yeah.
And we're going to Crystal Desert on the side of Tony, because he has that book, and the book may very well be locking something of importance here.
Yeah. So the big difference right now between the runners is that Tony has gone up Dark Death Mountain, and Dark Death Mountain had our Master Sword, a book, and I believe one other thing. It's escaping me what that other... Oh, I might be thinking about a shield. So it was definitely book and a Master Sword up on Dark Death Mountain, and that book giving us the desert access is big.
And I can confirm there was a shield in Super Bunny Cave, if that's what you were thinking of. But the one thing that we also found out that we probably didn't want to see is that with a sword with a cane, that Turtle Rock entrance for the green pendant is Ether, which is available, which we've had since the first time we went up the mountain. And that's not something you really want to do without a fire rod. Nice kind of vanilla-ish setup here in Desert Palace for tonytyoung. And getting the big key in its vanilla location. Good to see that this is, in fact, flippers on the torch. Oh.
Oh, man.
Oh, no. If they've been sitting on a torch for that long, wouldn't you think they'd be melted?
Maybe they're not made out of plastic.
And those are also boots lock flippers, so actually pretty good here that both runners opted to go directly into Thieves Town as soon as they had the ability. Nice vanilla big key, Adilor.
So those flippers right now just unlock your typical water checks, which neither player did out of logic because of the Moon Pearl being in Eastern. So we have Man Under the Bridge and Waterfall Ferry 2 checks, Zora's Ledge, and Zora himself, and all of the money to pay the scamfish. A lot of checks, but without the fire source and without the mirror, we don't have a way to get into either of the dungeons that the flippers are required for.
Yeah, Ice Palace is going to ask you to show it a fire rod or a Bombos medallion. Oh,
Silver's on the Bolok side of Pod.
Okay then. Thanks, game. Now, if something's here that draws Addy back to Meyer, like the Bombos medallion specifically would have to be the one thing, those silvers are only going to make it more enticing to at least clean it up a little bit. Not really having any other easy ways to handle this. Adilor is going to have a bomb throw at the crystal switch, which, something you see some runners do if they don't know the Samaria door or extended auto stairs little glitch here, or don't feel like bonking back and trying to shoot an arrow at the switch on the other side. It looks like he also wants to participate in the hammering up.
Well, with having the big key already and the small key, this could be a quicker way to get through the dark maze. So I don't mind this. If you can get the hammer jump pretty quick, this is a good time to pull it out. And Tony fighting land molas with master sword spins on the other side right now.
This is something that you might see come up in situations where you kind of wish nice map and compass between the big chest and dark maze.
Tony gets another sword.
Yeah, 3 swords now for Tony. That's actually a pretty huge advantage going forward here. But if Addy finds something in a particularly bad spot, that could play into his cards as well.
With the swords being on Dark Death Mountain and being on a crystal boss, Adilor's going to pick them up at some point. Adilor could get a huge advantage finding something in Pendant Pod, because as Tony finds other things, he keeps getting drawn away, and a Quake that we know doesn't help.
And Adilor has to know, too, that this doesn't actually... we have an item on Helma, and it's the green pendant. Ooh.
Yeah, if there's ever a case to kill Pendant Helma, this is the time. And the other thing is, Adilor hasn't found anything in here that's progression. Once you've spent the time clearing Pendant Pod and you haven't found anything in here, it actually pushes you to do Helma, because you're really hoping for the payoff for spending all this time in a Pendant dungeon. The one thing that's a little bit tricky, though, is after picking up the green pendant, without mirror, he doesn't have a quick way to turn that in. He has to save and quit, and then flute back over. Tony picking up all of his extra health out of Mire Shed.
We did see that situation where the mirror could have been in Desert Palace, but Tony has shown us it actually isn't. So I would imagine it's probably somewhere on the Flippers line here. A couple things we haven't seen either runner do yet. We haven't seen Ped Cave, and I don't believe anyone's turned in the purple chest.
Still haven't seen the front of Escape either. And that's open from the beginning of the game. That's always the worst, when you skip Escape for a very, very long time, then find out something that you need is in there. You just gotta hope that your opponent did the same.
In this situation, the worst possible thing that could be in the front of Escape, I would say, is probably going to be that mirror. Because that's another reason you want to put it off. You want to be able to mirror and make it faster. You have the boots to make it faster. You could have done it from Pyramid or from 5-6. In this situation, I would be kind of leery about Adilor pulling on the spike there. It just made me cock an eye for a moment. Helma doesn't have anything, but that escape play, it's been available for some time. It's been something no one's actually visited Uncle either. We had both Sank starts, so there are a ton of items just kind of sitting there in Sphere 1 that no one's gone and bothered to check just yet.
I wouldn't be surprised if Adilor follows up on that green pendant immediately, considering he's got nothing out of the pendant pod play. He really wants to see the value out of the time that he sunk into that dungeon.
And you kind of have to. You lean into the play that you just made as far as you can until that play either proves to be boom or bust in the very end. And we have seen a visual shield, we've seen a picked up shield. Now Tony's going to have 2 shields after this check.
Yep. So, I guess the hope for Adilor here is that the checks dry up enough. Oh, just the blue mail. And we already know where one mail is, so that is not worth your pendant pod dip. So Adilor is really hoping now that checks dry up enough that Tony finds the density of pod really enticing. But we'll see. That's a really rough spot for Adilor, though.
Hey, look, we found
and
Bombos.
Bombos on Hylia Island. So mirror locked. So mirror unlocks a lot of stuff for us. Mirror unlocks Mire. Mirror unlocks Ice Palace, and mirror unlocks Swamp as well, which are 3 out of the 4. Actually, it is all of the crystals that he has remaining.
And it looks like Adilor does want to go straight into Hera now. Now, we remember he intentionally put this off early on, hoping to have a quicker clear with possibly not even a chance of leaving anything behind. He now has a lamp. We know there's an item in the basement. If that's our mirror...
That's the thing that we have to hope that it is, for Adilor's sake. If mirror is somewhere on Tony's path, this is going to be really hard for Adilor to make that up. Because with TR and Skullwoods being a pendant, we might not ever find Fire Rod. Not anywhere helpful. We might get an interesting situation where the Ganon's Tower Big Key is locked behind Fire Rod. We'll see if that comes up.
There's Vanilla Piece of Heart sitting on the Zora ledge. Big Fish has been in... Again, First Blood and Kakariko makes this an early in logic check. But the flippers are what made us come here in the first place. So let's see if Zora has a life lesson, a love lesson, or a piece of bona fide treasure. And
some arrows.
One death by 10 cuts, apparently. So Flipper's check's kind of dry.
For the Zora people, 500 rupees for 10 arrows is pretty fair. They don't have a lot of dry wood there to make good arrows.
And we see Tony's going to go ahead and do Dark World here. So, is this going to be the run to Pod or the run up to Pyramid and Catfish, do you think?
What else do we have on Tony's side, really? A
little bit curious why Tony went to the bomb shop just now, not having the ability to clear his other 5-6 crystal.
He might have the crystals mistracked on his side. That's a possibility. I'm trying to put together what Tony has left, and
there's a giant neon sign pointing over this. It says, "You're in the wrong world, go to the castle." But Adilor is going to show us what's waiting in Hera's basement. And how happy will we be to see it?
We have Hera basement, we have the castle, we have Hearts of Turtle Rock. And that would totally be like Rando to have a mirror buried in Fire Rodless Turtle Rock.
Don't even say that. Those are swear words.
That might be the thing. That might be what Adilor needs to get back in this, though. Adilor might jump into Turtle Rock after the Hera basement play. After doing Pod and not getting anything out of it, and basement's empty, he might be looking to gamble.
It's the one play that your opponent's probably not willing to make over the 5 items remaining at the front of the castle. And again, we still have purple chests too, we haven't seen. And for Adilor, he hasn't been to the front of Skullwoods either, so there's a lot that could also be stewing on his mind. But we're going to see him go ahead and do East Death Mountain. It looks like Tony wants to go to Pod. He'll get one nice thing out of it. He'll get
really
silvers.
Good news for Adilor. So this is going to even stuff back up. But this is exactly what Adilor needed. He needed Tony's checks to dry up to the point in which the density of pod was just too enticing. With the green pendant, it's 6 or 7 items. That's just too much.
There are 5 items in the dungeon and 1 on the green pendant, so a total of 6 on the table here. 6 of which we saw. The only really useful thing that we got out of the entire play was that set of silvers, blocked by the bow, of course. We're going to see Adilor open up Turtle Rock. I wonder if he actually considers it. And I think at this point, you kind of have to. You're up here now. Climbing the mountain again is a bad move. It's a boom or bust kind of play. It's kind of becoming the cliche of the gambles that I like to take. But
I think he takes a look at what's in Super Bunny and Hookshot first, and is Book and Master Sword enough to put him off of the Turtle Rock dip.
Yeah, if you're going to open it, you're going in. That's the problem. You don't just open Turtle Rock and say, "I'll see you later." The chances are you're going to see it later.
With it being a pendant, sure.
But at this point, there's another thing we haven't thought about that's actually way out of the way for both players right now, even after Adilor picks it up, and that will be the Ether Tablet, as Chloe's pointing out in chat.
Yeah. That's a really awkward one to get to, because with Mirror being the thing that we're looking for, that makes routing to a lot of these out-of-the-way locations really tough.
And we have seen both runners kind of skirt around and dodge a lot of the other mirror checks as well. Those, of course, being Graveyard Ledge. We've done every check around that. King's Tomb and Bonk Rocks kind of paying in with the boots. Nothing there. Cave 45, we've done everything around that. Bombo's Tablet is going to be right next to Swamp, but as we know, that mirror is going to basically be our go mode as soon as the Fire Rod comes into play.
Adilor is doing the Pendant TR play without the Fire Rod. In the case of no Fire Rod TR, sometimes this will kick you out immediately, but not by not giving you a key here. Let's see how deep this lets you go. Let's him continue.
So what you want to see here, if you're hoping for Addy to be able to go straight to the back, is a key on Chain Chomps and a Vanilla Big Key. And Adilor taking the long way around, not wanting to chance, or does he forget he doesn't have a way to do this?
Doesn't have a way to do this. He doesn't. Yeah.
Addy, no! Addy, no! That's one of the items you're looking for.
Oh no!
Yeah, Addy's going to just fight it.
Oh no!
Oh, he's just going to call it. And you know what? That's awful in a way, but in another way, if this was empty, this could actually save his bacon. Now, please go to the castle. It's the flute. It's the flute. And we're going... Is he going back up? No, he's going to save the old man now with it being in logic with the lamp. This is a reasonable play, but I don't know why... I mean, no, to be fair, honestly, it makes sense that he didn't do it the first time up because we had no way to actually make it easier at that point. And it also allows him to swing around and check Ether. That might be something that's now on his mind, because he just got the book. The book only unlocks 2 things.
Okay, I was wondering what Tony was doing. He's setting up the hammer yump as well, but it looks like he's most comfortable with the setup doing it from the south, so he did the door transition just to get the better setup and set up the hammer jump. That hammer jump is totally possible from either direction, and a lot of players just have a preference on which way they do it. I myself, being that I do it mostly in a key sanity mode, like to do the checks in the back first and then come back and set up my hammer jump from the top.
There's one other thing that may play into the idea of doing hammer jump from the bottom as opposed to the top. If you happen to miss it for any reason whatsoever, that bridge doesn't reset unless you reset the super tile. The door transition to the south will. The door transition to the rest will not.
Just depends on how comfortable you are with the hammer jump.
Absolutely. Adilor is going to go through desert, picking up that set of flippers that are sitting on the torch, same as Tony in just a moment here. Wouldn't be surprised to see him chase those flippers, same as Tony. He will get a tempered sword, which is going to be rather nice, but we're going to see both runners basically on equal footing again.
Yeah, and I suspect with those flippers, the first thing that Adilor is going to do are the water checks. He's going to see the bombos, and he's going to be in mirror go mode as well. And it'll just be who finds that mirror first. Now, given that that mirror locks 3 crystal dungeons, there's a lot of space for execution to make up some disadvantages there, depending on who finds the mirror when.
Tony making his way through the basement, gonna go visit Helmasaur King, gonna go pick up a green pendant, and again, at least he'll get a blue mail upgrade out of it, although our HP pool not quite as scant as it was earlier today. Now 12 hearts, so honestly pretty comfortable levels of facing pretty much any boss at this point.
And the play to go to Helmasaur makes total sense. You didn't find anything interesting other than silvers and pod, which isn't progression. You want to try to get paid off for the time that you put into the dungeon, so you kill the boss, you get the item, and you turn in the green pendant. So do you think our next item, mirror, is going to be in front of escape, or do you think we have to dive all the way down into TR to find it?
I think these two runners have put off the front of the castle long enough. You have 2 items just sitting there at Uncle that you probably need to go get. You have 3 items that you know about in the front of escape somewhere. We also still have a map lingering around, so there's just long enough that they probably forgot about it. Our restreamer, by the way, shout outs to our crew today. Dexter for giving us this show. Garrison for coming along with me and giving us something as 2 players. And tracking today for us is Scupula. See all those buttons lit up on the below side of the screen? That's all his handiwork. So, yeah. And, of course, the League. So kind and gracious enough to have a channel for us to play on. And, Blue Mail and Tempered Sword. Modified hard pull, anybody?
So we're just about all caught up. Maybe there's a check here and there that they haven't done that the other one has, but we should be about even, at least for all the checks that matter.
Yeah, we just saw Tony miss flute to front of the house. He wanted to go to CAC, and I think this will probably be Peg Cave and Purple Chest.
Adilor has, or Adilor is following up with the flippers checks. The spotting of the bombos is important. The rest of the flippers checks aren't going to contain anything. Another interesting thing about the front of escape, because both players started out sank about an hour ago, we have not checked Uncle or the secret passage chest.
Yeah, and this isn't a glitch mode, everybody. We're playing NMG Open. So, well, you might be used to seeing players in glitches completely skip out in the front of the castle for, roughly about an hour. In this particular instance, not really something you want to skip for an hour, especially since checks on the whole are running dry.
One thing to think about, too, is that a very common start... Oh, can't check Lumberjack because he's got the Smith behind him. Aga is in logic. I don't remember if we saw Lumberjack on Adilor's side.
We did not. Both players opted to go straight into the forest and straight down into the village, so that is another piece of information that we do not have accounted for just yet. And it's absolutely reasonable, too, because neither player at the time had the boots. Swords came in kind of late, and the lamp was in Hype Cave, so at this juncture, checking Lumberjack now seems better than, about 55 minutes ago.
I typically like to pair in the Lumberjack check with Bonk Rocks, which is what Tony tried to do. but the blacksmith did not want to go in there.
Yeah, that is one of the few places that the smith will not go.
We're still getting some one-off checks. I think we're going to see hammer pegs here. And Adilor's finally making the play to go to the front of escape. Now, if Mirror is in here, especially if it's an uncle, both players are going to feel really bad about this. Because like I said, a very common start in open seeds is to go check.
Oh,
The uncle has go mode.
no!
Oh man!
No! 1 hour go mode for Adilor. Man, you get the hook shot and sank or the mirror uncle take.
Oh, and it looks like he does realize that he's in go mode. He's going to go pick up his bombos, and he's got a bunch of dungeons to clear.
Lots to clean up. No half magic, but no fire rod, so Bombos is the way through Swamp Palace here. Not Swamp Palace. Ice Palace. And you see as Smith Chain pays out absolutely nothing for tonytyoung.
If you're creative enough, bombos can be your way through Swamp Palace too.
I mean, have you ever tried using Bombos on Argus? No, I didn't think so.
So Adilor's going to start off with Swamp, which makes sense because you... and Tony's going to be right behind him. We have a race with 3 dungeons and a GT to go. They're basically on top of each other. This is an execution match now.
Yeah, this all comes down to how sharply does your sword swing when you let it go. How do you choose to route through your dungeons? Where are you going to say the big key is in GT? And is it fire rod locked? We don't know.
And both players have to be terrified right now, given they just found go mode on Uncle. And it looks like Tony is going to opt to do the Bombos pickup into Ice Palace first. I think I prefer Adilor's route here because you're going into Dark World from that same location anyway. Swamp is really close. And then from Swamp, you can cut across the bottom of Dark World or Dark South Shore and hit the floating island on the way to Ice.
Yeah, you clean this up. You can even find a fire rod before you pick up Bombos here. That might be something Adilor is thinking about, as we saw him open the first check in Swamp Palace here. And that fire rod could still end up being rather important if it's something you could pick up as you walk by. And your opponent might say, no, I'm in go, and put themselves in a really bad situation in GT.
Yeah, that's kind of the interesting thing. How much do you check, considering that you might need that fire rod for GT? I guess it depends on how comfortable these players are with the bomb jump on the right side of GT to light those torches with just lamp. It's a very tricky bomb jump setup.
We are going to see Kane whipped out for Diver Down here. And these 2 little checks that we're going to see... Oh, picks up the block with him. And unfortunately, the block gets in your way. Just blow it up, Addy.
So,
Adilor, please!
If you do that right, it's actually faster. So, as you're holding your sword going through that rail, you end up charging your sword. Releasing that spin takes time, so if you pick up the block as you're jumping down, that saves you from the spin. You just have to make sure not to put the block in your way, and that's a little bit of what happened. With that particular diver down, because there's pots there and you can use those pots to pick that up to cancel out the spin, you don't see the Samaria block pickup in that one as often, but on left side Swamp, that saves a very, very small amount of time if you get that block pickup.
You see, Tony did pick up the first check in the icebreaker room and nothing after it so far. Probably thinking about just dropping on through and going, one item that could possibly be bad for me here, and he waffled over the big chest. I don't know if we've even seen the big key.
Yeah, I wasn't paying too close attention to where the big key was. Adilor had a pretty quick Argus fight and got the one-shot snipe with the silver on him.
So nothing of any serious help, though, in Swamp Palace, so we'll see him go straight over to Ice now. We might see both runners converge on Meyer relatively around the same time.
Yeah, that's where we're going to be able to tell who has the lead, and we know getting to Mirror, Adilor had the very, very small advantage, but we'll see if that advantage gets maintained when we make it over to Meyer.
Tony set up for the dash poke strat on Cold Stare. Unfortunately, gets nipped on the bottom side, pushes him out of it, and now they're wild and loose, but thankfully easy to clean up with that Tempered Sword.
Yeah, and having 13 hearts in Blue Mail allows them to be pretty aggressive at getting after them, which still makes the fight fairly quick. So Adilor following up into Ice Palace, and I expect that we'll see Tony mirror and head over to Swamp Palace from here.
Yeah, and the one thing that kind of plays a little bit more in the routing of Adilor here is this is an extra mirror transition, an extra flute, which the flute's not really the big deal because you still had to run over and pick up the bombos anyway, but you're not making 2 trips in that area. Now Tony has to go back to the Dark World just to get to Swamp Palace, and then mirror back for the dam anyway. So it's a lot of moving around for traversing between 2 dungeons that actually probably spin together better the other way.
Yeah, I'm a fan of the way that Adilor paired these 2 dungeons together over what Tony had done. And I think, too, the opportunity of picking up the Fire Rod in Swamp is not insignificant.
We didn't talk about it, but we did see Tony do it earlier, and Adilor will now take care of his icebreaker. Maybe. There it is. Nice 1 buffer tap, dude.
Picks up a heart container in the big key chest. Just a little bit of an extra buffer.
I'll be curious to see if Tony decides to check anything in here as well.
So just a reminder to everyone, and a reason why this is so hyped that this race is so close, this is a race between the number 2 and number 3 of the division, of the GT division. So these 2 are playing against each other for playoffs. If Oops All Foxes wins both, they get the second spot in the second available playoff spot in the division. If Acai wins both, they're in the driver's seat for getting that position. If there's a split, it's a little bit favored to Oops All Foxes going into week 7. But this race looks absolutely tight, and we'll see shortly who has the advantage going to Meyer. And it's starting to look like Adilor is going to have that advantage.
Yeah, there goes the bombo spin, and you'll have a ring of fire that melts down this iceberg and unleashes the puffs within. And just see how Adilor handles his Tempered Sword in this fight. Looks like he wants to get the spin, and unfortunately wants to hug the Cold Stare. They may appear soft, but they actually hurt quite a bit.
So I think the tricky thing that got both players, if you bombos Cold Stare immediately upon dropping to the room, one of the ice crystals will be falling at about the time that you want to do the spin on them, which makes it tricky to follow up once you've put them in the corner. And it looks like that ice crystal knocked both of them out of their pattern. So they had equivalent Cold Stare fights, had to chase down a bunch of puffs with a Tempered Sword. Nothing too bad, but sometimes waiting a little bit on that bombos allows you to not have to deal with the ice crystal right when you're looking to follow up on your offense. Adilor heading over to Meyer now, and let's see. We're gonna get a 109.35 for lifting the rock. We'll see how much of an advantage that is over Tony. Tony gets the one shot with the silver as well.
I'd be willing to say Tony made up a little bit of time here.
I'm not sure. They got Mirror pretty close together.
It all depends on where this big key is in Meyer and what trials you might have going towards it. You might see someone read the keys and try to make a big old shot at the right side, maybe. You never know. Tony did have an extra Argus cycle, but I thought his Ice Palace play might have been a little bit smoother as well, especially since Adilor had to try the Icebreaker. That can add up in a little bit of time. That one tap, though, to get that one tap unbuffered is kind of cool.
It looks like the lead for Adilor right now is about 50 seconds.
And that might not sound like much, but it's an eternity when your heart's beating and you know the game is on the line every step of the way. One death, one fall, one little trip can send everything awry.
That, and you know the nerves have to be going for both players when they found their go mode on Uncle. Because that is often a check that's done as the second item in a very, very common route.
Well, here's something to consider. That's 2 keys in the first 2 checks of Meyer, so our key is almost guaranteed to be either right here or possibly left side here. That's clearly, but that's, we're gonna see left side.
Galaxy Braid.
If you find the small key in this check over here, you know it's gonna be in cutscene. If it's not here, it's got to be map chest possibly. It's right here. Adilor is gonna be the first to go to Vitreous. He's got this nice route to do it too. No spooky because no fire rod, but a lamp, as you saw, is gonna be real nice, really, really nice. And silvers too. Just makes Vitreous so much easier.
Yeah, this Vitreous fight should be pretty straightforward, and given the location of that key, neither player is really going to get an advantage in their Meyer routing. The last bit of troll might be a GT big key on the fire rod locked side, and that could come down to who is comfortable doing the lamp torches with the GT right side bomb jump. And I'll tell you, that's a bomb jump that I'm not comfortable with.
Yeah, I'm going to go out there and say, anybody who watched my run in Challenge Cup against Chelsea X Lynn Game 1 knows my experience with that bomb jump. Next to none. As you can see, I tried it for a good 20 minutes before I quit, went searching for the fire rod and found it in Spike Cave, because of course it was. But I think Adilor does have the technique to be able to pull it off if he has to. So hopefully we don't have to see him pull it out. But in the case that one of those 4 checks happens to have it, it's good to know that you're prepared.
And Spike Cave is one of the options for Fire Rod in this seed today.
Yeah, Showdown with Vitreous. It's just a bunch of glittering silver on the screen for the eyeballs that you see here. And they go blind one by one, and then 2 will make the big eye disappear for good.
Tony's really not far behind. We said it was 50 seconds going into Meyer. He might have made up some time here.
I just want to shout out my teammate in chat. It said, "You missed once, you're fired." So what happens when I miss 3 or 4 times?
You just keep getting fired.
Does that mean I was triple employed to begin with? My goodness. All right, everybody. It is big key guessing game time. If you have a guess between 1 or 22, where do you think we're going to see the big key today? Hopefully not in Compass Room, because that would mean the big key is definitely going to be, 18, 19, 20, 21. Well, maybe we might see Tile Room before if we go that way without the fire rod. Oh my goodness. What a mess. What a mess Fire Wild Seeds end up being. But yeah, leave your guesses in chat, folks.
Looks like Tony has made up a little bit of time, but it's still about 50 seconds between them. This is anybody's game, and any small mistake in GT can be the game. We don't really get a choice in routing for the basement of GT, given we don't have Fire Rod. But comfortable, how comfortable they are with that fire-locked bomb jump. Oh, and Tony is picking up a blue potion, and unfortunately, this is time that he just doesn't have right now.
Yeah, but remember what we talked about earlier? Adilor picked up that red potion in Village of Outcasts, and it saved his butt in Thieves Town. If that blue potion comes out to be needed in some way, that's another out that Tony has if Adilor happens to struggle through Gauntlet.
That's fair enough. So Adilor opening up GT at 1:15:35.
And Tony opting to go this way. Gonna climb Super Bunny and avoid all of the dead rocks. With optimal movement, this is slightly faster, maybe by a few seconds.
Well, remember too, Tony never opened up Turtle Rock.
Oh yeah, that's a thing too, because hitting those three little stumps there does cost a little bit of time, so that makes perfect sense as well. We get the cape out of the first check in Hope Room, and a small key, and we're gonna take that small key and go left.
Logic now.
And this is the one situation where you don't want to double dip a dungeon. Under any circumstances, you don't want to double dip a dungeon. There's another key. Hello. And we're going to see the Stalfos room coming up next. Checks 4, 5, 6, 7.
So I haven't said anything about it yet, but my typical guess for where the GT big key is the Vanilla Compass chest. That'd be real scary if that's where it is today.
It's not looking too promising for left side here.
Yeah, DM room being empty. The other thing that could happen, we could just find Fire Rod in the basement of GT as well. That would solve everything.
Solve all of the problems. That's not something you want to see. Get out of here, shovel! Just, normally I would make the obvious joke of, well, I can dig it. Well, no. This one I want to just shove into a 9-meter hole and just bury it for good.
Normally you see the fetch quest in GT and you're like, that's funny. I never had to do that fetch quest, but the possibility that Fire Rod's behind it? Oof.
There's another key. So if Tile Room's a key, the left side is absolutely and 100% totally on the table. Like, if the game's expecting you to go down here. So now we just get to wait and see whether or not it shows up here behind Ice Armos at Bob's chest.
Rando room!
Living up to its vanilla namesake today. 20 rupees, 10 arrows, and 10 arrows. If those rupees were bombs, it would be vanilla.
Oh man, Ruby, this is this is scary. And this is on top of the scary that they already had, again, with Mirror on Uncle for Go mode.
Yeah, all things considered, the fact that we're in GT at 118, despite leaving a Go mode item for almost literally 1 hour on the mark, that says quite a bit about how good these two runners are playing.
Well, that also says quite a bit about how much nothing there was in Pendant Turtle Rock. Whenever you see a fast seed, you go, okay, was Turtle Rock an empty pendant? Yes, okay.
All right, quick 6 shots of the Armos Knights here with the silvers that both players got out of pretty desolate pendant pod. But this is really a nice pickup that both runners were able to take with them on their journey. The arrows doing so much more work than they normally would. And it's vanilla!
It's a vanilla big key, and Adilor is out immediately heading up. So we don't have to worry about a Fire Rod locked big key.
We don't have to worry about much with Powder, 14 Hearts, Blue Mail, Tempered, and Silvers, but anything can still happen. This is a big executional battle against the minions of the Dark Pig himself, sitting up here in Gauntlet. 5 rooms coming up that could make or break a run, could really make things super scary.
And these runners in skill level have been so even that Adilor has just maintained just about the same lead the entire way.
Yeah, but it doesn't take much for that to change, and you see that one spike right there, that costs a couple seconds. A Moldorm fall would almost be pain incarnate for these runners here.
One Moldorm fall is probably enough to change the lead in this race.
Some really smooth cape strats from Adilor, getting both dashes through all the obstacles in these couple rooms.
Tony has his big key. He's not checking anything else. He's on his way up too.
And Adilor has entered the Gauntlet. He's going to go into Gauntlet 2, see if he wants to deal with these Staffos the old-fashioned way. It looks like he does. Unfortunately, about face on the first shot with the Silvers, but able to clean that up pretty well as well. And these BMOs are no joke up here. As soon as they put you in your sights, especially in this room, Gauntlet 4 is a big mess if you get pushed by the BMOs off of the conveyors and into the ice, because you're just trapped there for the second one to just put you in its crosshairs as you go by.
Adilor opting to be safe and grab a ferry before heading into Landmo 2. I'm just going to mess up the timing on Landmo 2 a bit, especially for using Silvers, which has completely messed up his Phase 1.
Yeah, with the ability to only have one arrow on the screen with the Silvers, due to how much Ancilla they generate, this does kind of make the Lambo fight... Oh boy, the Lambo fight is out of control.
And Tony is hot on his heels, too.
And that might be where that potion Tony came into play. He might be a little bit looser with his HP moving forward here. See, arrows is going to be a premium for Adilor now, down to 6. Just barely enough to have an issue with Ganon in the final fight here in just a few minutes. With 4 required to kill him, barring 2 misses.
Tony
Beautiful.
just behind is going to get to skip the anti-ferry, so we're going to have a little bit easier of a setup for Silvers for Landmos. And the fire beam knocks him off course for the second hit. So he's got a little bit of a spare to pick up here too.
Yeah,
he is going to have three cycles as well. Or more! Oh no!
We did see Addy have an issue with this torch puzzle, so it's going to be super close in terms of getting to the door. Of course, we don't have to worry about the door slamming shut as we go up the stairs anymore. That has since been patched out with the latest version of the randomizer, which we're all grateful for.
Yeah, as a runner, you actually get used to having Fire Rod, one that torches one room, and so having to light that south torch with a lamp kind of messes up your flow.
And we see that Adilor has made it to the final couple sets of rooms before Moldorm here, but right behind him, Tony is just finishing up torches too. So this is getting closer and closer, and could still get closer.
Tony having a much smoother torches one. Adilor taking down Trolldor very quickly, very smoothly. That's a big deal. So there's not very many places left for Tony to make up time.
Alrighty. In just one stairway and one quick run down the hall, we get to face off with everyone's favorite mathematician. Econometry 101, everybody. I'd say how many blue balls do you want to see, but how many cycles is Adilor going to nail here?
Looks like he got 2 in the first cycle.
This is pretty nice for a triple if he doesn't... Oh, that's nice. Thank you, Aga. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You always say thank you when Aga gives you a free triple like that. Nice 3 cycle by Adilor to clean that fight up.
Quick 3 cycle, which doesn't give Tony any time to catch up. It's actually possible for Tony to 2 cycle it. Let's see if he gets the triple on the first phase. But we do know that he had a clean Moldorm 2 as well, so this is still extremely close. He only gets the single.
Yeah, missing that first, getting that first one, missing the double, kind of.
He's only at 3 hits now. Tony's going to get an extra cycle here, so he's got 2 more hits, and he's already on an extra cycle. Time that he could not lose. Ooh. Falling further behind, unfortunately. So 2 extra cycles on Aga. So far, Adilor making it in Phase 3 of Ganon. Taking a lot of hits, though. But this should be the safer part of Ganon.
Yeah, but you still don't want to sleep on and Fire Bat. He's going to have to rely on a particularly clean fight here to pull this one out. Assuming Tony doesn't come up from right behind. And Tony's going to get these same teleport patterns that Adilor currently has. Adilor going ahead and getting that first silver, a little offset.
Oh, missed the first shot.
Ooh, that's going to hurt a little bit. And Ganon just goes directly into that corner there. Makes things just, this is one way to screw up your fight, is RNG not playing nice and just barely grazing the cape on that first shot. Just barely missing.
He got a silverless sword swing. Oh, it nearly took that fire bat. That was really scary, Ruby.
Addy is
that was so close
with fire right now.
Hit.
And his torches are so off sync that he's actually starting to lose time trying to set this up.
Yeah, Tony is making up some time here, but I don't know that it's going to be enough. As long as Adilor survives the fight, and it looks like he will, the final shot into Ganon, he goes down. That was close the entire way.
And it's still close, and now Tony, with his last silver, about to get shot right into the heart of the pig in one more swing.
Oh, man.
Is one tight finish.
Everybody get GG's in the chat for Adilor. He has won this with a 126.49 and only by a dozen of seconds. And we have Tony crossing the line at about 127.08, I believe.
Officially on race time, our finisher in first place today is Adilor, clocking in at 126.50. Right behind him, less than a fanfare away, tonytyoung, 127.02. 12 seconds, Garrison.
And chat bringing up a good point. The extra 2 cycles on Aga was the difference.
Between the extra Aga cycles and the little bit of, situation, all kinds of spiraling out of control in Phase 4 for Addy, this is one that you could have flipped a coin for, folks.
Absolutely. It was close the entire way, and I wouldn't have wanted it any other way.
Man, there were so many ways that this seed could have been so much ruder for both players, but make sure you give them a hand. Make sure you give them a follow, too. These are 2 teams that absolutely have one more game to look forward to where they can try to get that leg up on the other. That's tomorrow night. Same time. Keep an eye out for that. Let's see if these 2 want to come in and join us here in the commentary booth. I think we have a few questions for our runners today, Garrison.
You absolutely do. We should be getting them into chat pretty soon.
The 1-hour Uncle Check rule. It's funny because Adilor has some glitch knowledge experience and does occasionally poke around with stuff like that. We did have the big Glitches Mentor tournament this past spring. Yeah, the HMG tournament this summer. So lots to think about all over the table here for, how many different ways somebody can think, oh, well, I'm going to route this way because this doesn't have anything this early. You can never have anything. Sphere 1 is empty. Talk to your uncle. I'm sure he's got something better to say.
Like I said, it's hard to feel good when you're climbing GT and you've done the entirety of Pendant Pod, and yeah, your mirror was sitting on Uncle all along.
Well,
We
I
are
believe.
we are joined by our racers, Tony and Adilor. GG to both of you. Very, very close.
Yeah, I noticed. I was extremely nervous going up the tower. I'm thinking, oh man, don't snipe me, please don't snipe me. And then I had every reason to be worried. It was like a 12-second difference.
Yeah, GG's. I was worried about that mirror, but apparently we both messed up on that.
Yeah, I was. When I found that mirror, I was just like, oh no, I get beat so hard by Uncle Route this time. There's no way I'm in any good shape, and I was just like, I have to go as fast as possible. I gotta go, and I'm glad we both didn't do Uncle Route.
Well, to be fair, when you pick up the hookshot in Sanctuary, at what point are you thinking about going to Uncle? You're thinking about going to the mountain.
Exactly.
Is that a sword on pedestal?
It is a sword on pedestal. That's our last sword there. Look at that.
That's beautiful. Hi, Vanilla Master Sword. How are you? All right, let's hear it, guys. Where do you think the fire rod's hiding on this seed?
My bet is under the shovel.
Yeah. We've concluded that it's buried. Yeah.
Well, we do that, but where?
Well, in this game, there's only one place you bury something. That's under the shovel check. Yeah, I'll see myself out.
So, I mean, at some point, everything just kind of fell in line. I don't know. There were very conversion spots, very diversion spots, but everyone got to watch both of you do pretty much the same thing the other one just did, just with a slightly different kit and at a slightly different time. You're going to find the exact same things, make the exact same chase, and there's one big difference that really could have put this one on its head. Adilor, aren't you really glad you forgot you didn't have the fire rod and decided to S&Q out of TR?
Oh yeah, that thing. I felt silly for going over into the room, and I was like, wait a second, I can't do this. Let me just leave. Like, what am I doing here?
I was kind of excited about the fire rodless pendant TR play, but it definitely worked out for you that you got out of there once you made the mistake.
I mean, was there a key in the chest there that I could have gone down farther? But I was like, I'm gonna check roller, and then I just bail out of there, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a circumstance where in the correct key layout, you get a key in Chain Chomp, you get a vanilla big key, you get a key in the big chest. You're going all the way to Laser Bridge. And for what? The fire rod? That's like, at this point, what could you have possibly seen on Laser Bridge that you'd want to see?
At that point in the seat, I would have been very happy to see a mirror, but I was not thinking about that possibility. I'm like, I don't know, can't get to roller room. I guess I'm out of here. Yeah. That could have been awful if there was something down there, but I made the right call.
We've already seen that once just in this past week, because I don't know if y'all saw it the other night, but we did have Rule of Fire triggered by that chain with Bombos and Crystal Roller in Fire Rod and Ice Palace.
Oh, geez, that's a bit rude. Yeah.
Yeah. Luckily, nothing quite so. It's just a mirror on Uncle. It's nothing. It's absolutely nothing on this seed.
I mean, for all we know, the fire rod's just like in the front of castle. Like if you just do Uncle, you just do castle early, you just get it, and then you're like, oh, okay, well, yeah. But then maybe you get led in the back of Skull Woods, and there's nothing there. So who knows? That fire rod could just lead you astray.
Actually, that's another thing I wanted to ask as well. Why were you both so adamant about skipping the castle?
Well, there's just other things to do.
Yeah, I thought about doing it before South Shore to get money, but I was so close to Zora anyways. And then the flute was there, and there was all this movement options, and we had hook shots, so I prioritized mountain over castle. And then you get your bow, you get your pearl, and you have all of Dark World. So there's no way I'm going back to castle.
Yeah. The way the items opened up early enough, it's like they're just other options. Especially, I'm really glad that early mountain play was just like, you've got a hook shot and mountain access, kind of like, want to go check it out, and turns out it's a great idea. So it's just like, I felt great after the first mountain trip, and then after the second mountain trip, I'm like, not so great anymore. Didn't exactly find progression. Yeah,
there was a point on this scene we were wondering, where are we gonna find something in a bad spot? Is it going to be on Bombos? Is it going to be in Peg Caves? Is it going to be Magic Bad? Is it going to be... And we saw Bombos sitting on the Hylia Island. Let's go, Mo.
Go mode as long as we knew where Mirror was. That being an uncle, apparently that's a bad spot.
And, just a Sphere 1 mirror, no biggie. Yeah.
Yeah, Sphere 1.
That's what we say here. Yeah, Sphere 1. Oh, wow.
So I do have a question for the two of you. How were you considering the possibility of having to do a bomb jump to light the torches with a lamp on right side GT if the big key was over there?
Yeah, I was considering that as a possibility. I wasn't looking forward to it. I would have done tile room before that, but yes, I was ready for that possibility. I know how to do the bomb jump. I'm not practiced at it, but I know I can do it.
Yeah, I'm in the exact same boat. Like I've done it before once, but I'm not very practiced in it. And yeah, there's no way I'm going back to check the rest of the game for Fire Rod after I've skipped so much after go moding like 3 different dungeons. There's like no way I'm going back.
Oh man, that would have been really exciting to see. Curse you, Vanilla Big Key.
Oh, jeez.
I'm evil.
You almost have to wonder if just to put nothing.
We may have lost you a bit there, Zeruvian.
I think you had an internet. You want to try that again?
No, I don't want to talk about where the Fire Rod could be, especially not behind the big key of GT.
I mean,
That'd be gross.
it could be there. It'd be kind of funny if it was right there. Yeah.
Like physically behind it, one thing. Like actually, like in the big chest or in the climb. Oh, geez, please don't.
Yeah.
Well, if it was behind the big key, I wouldn't get it because I'd get the big key first. Right?
I mean, with this race coming down to what, 8 seconds, nobody wants to open those extra chests.
No, definitely not. I was like, I gotta save every second possible. I'm screaming up this climb. You can't stop me.
Well, Landmo sure tried to stop both of you on this one.
God, that limo was so bad. I was freaking out. I'm like, come on, I don't have a rod to hit these things with. Let me just silver arrows, but I had to heal, so the pattern was off. And I'm like, it was bad.
Yeah, my land modes are I either get the 1 cycle or it takes me like 4 cycles to kill it. It's pretty bad.
Yeah, Tony didn't have to stop for the ferry, but the second Landmo still tripped him up and then left him in the into extra innings still.
Yeah, my Aga 2 was even worse, so there's that as well.
Yeah, I was really glad I got that. I think I actually got a 3 cycle on it out of all things. It was like a 1-2-3 or a 1-3-2 or something like that. Yeah, it was surprisingly good.
2-3-1.
Yeah, that's the numbers. 23 is number 1.
Because we were wondering if Tony was going to be able to get the double triple to make up time, and then that's not exactly how it went down. But then the Ganon fight, Tony made up a lot of time. Being down on 2 hearts, you had to play it really safe.
Oh yeah, I was scared as heck. I didn't want to hug him. I didn't want to touch a fire bat. I was low on arrows. I was freaking out because I had to do the lamp, and I'm like, my timing is terrible, and I was just scattered all over the place. I'm really surprised I just got through it and didn't get hit. I'm just glad I didn't hug him, really.
Yeah, for me, I ended up buying an extra blue pot. I totally forgot I had silvers, even though I just killed Vidi with silvers. So I bought the blue pot, and I didn't use any pots on the way up. That feels bad.
You know, it's funny. Ruby and I were talking about it. We were talking about the red potion that that Adilor bought before going into a Hammer Thieves Town. Yeah, that was the same seed. And how I liked the idea of having the red potion as a safety for that fight. And then once it gets late game and you're picking up the blue potion, it's weird. Once you get to that point in the game, like it feels like the logic flips and you're like, you gotta get going.
Yeah, I agree. Like super early, dying costs more time than buying the pot. But at this point, and with how good everyone is at this game, I can't be affording to buy pots for safety for GT.
Yeah, I was just ready to go to GT. I'm like, I can just do this. And the powder in particular just told me like, yeah, I have enough. I know I have like a single green potion, but there's not even a fire rod, so I'm like not even really worried about magic conservation. I'm just going for it. But the powder in particular made me just like, I'm going. I don't need potions.
Yeah, this was a super close race. We are going to have to head out in just a moment. I'll start with you, Tony. Do you have any last things to say before we end the stream?
GG's. So going into this, I actually predicted Dark Side of the Triforce and Upsal Foxes to make playoffs. I think their next week opponent is they have a better chance of sweeping their next week opponent than we do. And even if we split here, like we would need to sweep our opponent plus they would need to lose a game in order for us to make playoffs. So yeah, this was a crazy match. And it was super close. So super glad that this is how it ended. I mean,
An
not super
incredible
glad. I
one
mean,
to
I
watch.
wish I wanted, but
Very incredible one to watch. Incredibly close and back and forth. And before we wrap up, do you have anything to say before we go, Adilor?
Oh, just echoing that GG's and thanks for crewing this and putting on a race. I'm glad it was a close one. I'm really looking forward to watching this one and see how our differences went. So.
All right. Thank you, runners, and thanks for a great game. Everybody, if you can, take the time to follow Adilor and Tony. They are awesome runners. Also, please follow my co-commentator, Zeruvian. He is an awesome player and a great guy to hang out with. Please give shout-outs to our tracker, Scupula, and our restreamer, Vextifer. Also, both very good A Link to the Past runners. And I want to thank everybody who is here watching this awesome race today. Anything else before we head off, Zeruvian?
No, I've just got to give these two a big round of applause. A big gutsy effort through a really interesting scene. You never see a rodless finish. At least the ice rod shows up to show you, hey, you got bent. Yeah, no, not even tonight. Nothing but silvers. So well done, both players, to figure this one out. And we're not done yet. We got another game tomorrow. Yet to be seen if that's going to be picked up for restream. But Upsal Foxes Acai have 2 games this week. Didn't you know? Everyone's got 2 games this week. So this could still end in a split if Chloe Prower and Dixon have a go at another one of these tough ones. Stay tuned for that. Stay tuned to all the league action here on the ALTTPR League and on the Speed Gaming Network of channels currently hosting the Invitational League as well.
Again, thank you everybody for watching. Have a great night.